I think the biggest thing that um I think we all can work on is not selling with our own pockets, because I think it's,
Ooh.
or like having these limiting beliefs. And I was talking to Austin earlier today, and I'm like, dude, why is like why is the case size so low, right? When Daryl comes in, like three people yesterday closed over $2,500, right, in AP, and then
Yeah.
that one just now is 470 a month. That one's gonna stay on the books, right? Because there's nobody that can really touch that. And so yeah, like sometimes they charge back. If you know, you know. But it happens, right? But those higher cases are going to stay longer, is what I've seen. And the reason why is because they're a lot more invested, they're a lot more serious, and they understand what they're trying to do. So, anyways, long story short, that's number one. Don't sell with your own pockets. It's very easy to do, especially in this, and it's easy to have limiting beliefs. But I think like if you can have the mindset that you're willing to turn away business and turn away people who are not qualified. Like I don't write I won't write a GTL policy. That's just not what's going to happen. I'm going to write an ROP, and I'm going to write a like an ROP. I'll write a graded. But the reality is, if they don't qualify for one of our core three carriers, like it's not really worth the business, because those have um, a lot of underwriting leniency across the carriers overall, right? So I think if you can get and push for day one coverage, that's obviously going to be the biggest thing. Because if you get somebody who's had 2 year waiting periods in the past, and then you get them day one coverage, that's all massive value that the client's going to have anyway, right? So that's number one. Number two is I'm not afraid to pitch high. So whenever I see something, I always share max offer. So I'll share the max offer. Like this one was 150,000 with Baltimore Life, and I was like, "Hey, this is what the max offer is." And I was like, "It's 470 a month." And she's like, "Okay, is that the like highest that you have, or do you have higher?" And so Grant Cardone, I actually learned this from Grant Cardone. He said, whenever somebody's on the edge of a buying decision, always pitch higher. So sometimes it's in our inclination to want to pitch lower, but typically what I'll do if they're on the fence, I'm like, we can do this, or it looks like we can actually get you a little bit more coverage. That instead of the 15,000, we can look at like a. I'm just curious on my end. So this is exactly the word track. I'm like, I'm just curious on my end. Looks like they're gonna give us a 17,000 for $150 a month instead of that 15,000 for 120. Which do you like more? And then you just anchor. Do you want to take that higher plan, or do you want to stay at the lower? And a lot of times they'll just stay at the lower, but that's like a buying decision right there, right? That's a committing answer as well. So I'm not afraid to like upsell. I'm always like in the application, I'll increase as well, right? Okay, great. So at the very start, we'll go into the application at the 15,000 because that's what they circled, that's what they picked in our closing question. But then I'll go back or right after I get banking, I'll be like, looks like because you're in fairly good health, they are pre-approving this. And the reason why I say pre-approving is because we didn't get the official approval. Because Toolkits obviously says that they should get approved, and so that's why I say they're pre-approving. Looks like they are pre-approving you, and it looks like we can get a little bit more coverage for this because you are in fairly good health. That would be 160 a month. Do you want to
When do
take
you do
that?
that, Johnny?
I do it after
When do you try to
banking.
upsell
So
again?
so I do it
After
after
banking?
banking,
Okay.
but like I'm doing temp checks. So throughout the applications are where you solidify the sale, and I'm always doing some temp checks throughout the whole thing. So after I get them to commit, I'm gonna go straight into, okay, what's the best address to mail this policy out to, and verify. Okay, what's your full legal name? Always push the ball forward, right? So always continue to keep the conversation going, even if the application's loading. Even if you're pulling that up, okay, great, not a problem. Just continue rolling through it, asking questions, doctor, primary physician, last time they went there, etc. What I'm gonna do though, I'm gonna do a temp check very early on in the application. So after I get full legal name, I have their address, the face amount we're gonna be applying for. American Amicable asks for the effective date. I'll be like, awesome. Most of our clients want this to go into effect right away. That wouldn't be a problem for you, would it? And they'll be like, no. Or typically they'll say no, but they don't really know what that means. So I'm just gonna put it for on approval, but then I'm gonna verify that on the back end when I get banking. So after I get banking, I'm going to say, awesome. So just to confirm, I know that you mentioned you wanted this to go into effect right away, like most of our clients do. That will, you'll actually see that posted. So I'm going to get more. I'm going to get more serious. My language is going to change. Instead of an approval, it's going to go now to the payment, the premium will be posted. The premium will be drafted from your account. That will be leaving your account on this date. Okay, that's more solidifying the buying decision. Does that make sense? So you're not going to lead with that, but you're going to go into it as you continue going in and taking steps, right? The person who taught me telesales, Jason, it was always insane to me that you could sell over the phone. I didn't believe that you could. I had the limiting belief that there's like no way that somebody's going to trust me to be able to actually sell over the phone if they've never seen me, right? And I remember I was like, how, because I never had sold a policy over the phone. And I was like, how do I sell over the phone, essentially? Like, how do I believe? And he's like, you just tiptoe. You don't go crazy into the social right away. You're just going to tiptoe into it and make sure there's trust that's built constantly. Another thing that builds trust that I've noticed some of you guys doing is you guys sense the, oh, I'm about to make a sale. I'm about to make a sale. And your tone of voice changes. You don't even notice it, but it changes. There's a stutter in your voice. I'm like, just continue asking the questions, just like I'm talking right now. Continue asking the questions. Don't stutter, okay? The reason why you start stuttering is because there's value, there's meaning that you're associating with getting the account number and getting the sale, and that means something to you. If you don't get the doctor's information, or you mark yes on one of the questions, that also means something too. So if you just literally make it like nothing means anything here, I get the whole thing or I don't, that's it. And act like that. Ask the questions like that. The same way I ask for their full legal name and their mailing address is the same way that I ask for social. It's literally the same way. It's the same tone. It's same everything. This $472 a month plan that was an immediate payment, I did it the same exact way that I did the other day for $70 a month. The same exact way that I did $150 a month yesterday. The same exact way that I did $141 a month yesterday when they said their budget was a little bit lower, but they were like, is this enough insurance? I was like, no. Is it okay if I'm direct with you? They said yes. And I was like, that's not even close to enough. He's 85 years old, or he's 85 or 86. And they were saying they wanted 2,000. I'm like, that's not even close to enough. Like, you're wanting to get the cremation. I'm looking on Funeralocity. It's 2,500. That just doesn't make sense. Like, it's okay. Like, at least some coverage is better than nothing. But like, if the goal is to be able to cover the whole cremation, most of our clients are going with this $4,000 plan, which will actually cover everything. And then I'll go back into it. So that's another thing. Like, don't associate getting the banking information, getting the social, anything like that. Don't associate extra meaning to it, because it's all meaningless in that point, in that realm. You're just filling out an application. You're asking a question, but you're tiptoeing into it. And then as we're getting closer and closer and getting hotter and hotter and getting closer and closer to the end of the sale, I'm going to get more aggressive with my language. Okay, I just want to confirm your draft date, the time the money is going, your money is going to be in the account the 3rd, correct? Yes. I just want to make 100% sure you will have the money that will be there for your premium on the 3rd, correct? Or today, correct? Yes. And have them tell you that multiple times. Like, I'm solidifying in there. The 2 promise close is a good cool down, and it's a good way to just kind of get an integrity tie down. But throughout the application, I'm always going through these just temp checks and making sure that everything's good. And by the end of it, they're like, oh, I've had people say, I'm thankful that you that I was able to buy this policy from you. It's just the reality. But I'm not saying, like, it starts off with giving some rates, but then it goes into, you're buying this policy today because of the need. All right. So we're not going to push for the approval. Oh, let's just see if we get you approved. Oh yeah, if you were to get approved, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not, it's weaker language. And so we want you, I say that at times on the front end, but then before I submit the application, I'm making sure I'm getting the tie down. It's not just an approval. If you get approved, this is going to go into effect, and that first payment will be today, or will be in 3 days, or will be in that. Will you have the money in the account? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, great. And can you promise me each month after that you will have the money in the account on the 3rd? Can you promise me and your wife that, or your beneficiary that? Yes. Okay. Because here's the thing that I'd hate to happen. All right. I would just hate for something to happen. God forbid. None of us know the exact time or hour, but say something were to happen and you miss that payment, or for some reason you don't actually make that premium, and I have to tell your daughter that I can't deliver the $20,000 check. That I would just hate for that to happen. So you'll promise me and your
language.
So you'll promise me and your daughter that every month you're going to have that money in the account, month in and month out, right? Yes. Okay, great. And I feel good about that. There's only so much you can do, and some people are not going to do it, but there's 3 people that I got wrong account numbers or whatever. I called them up and I said, I was like, hey, there's a problem with your payment. They're like, okay, let's just go ahead and fix that right now. Boom, call the carrier and got it, saved it. So it was just wrong account information. One person took a screenshot of their bank account, sent me a picture, said, I'm so sorry, Johnny. That was completely on me, and and highlighted the account number. And she said, this is the right one. I'm so sorry. And it was actually pretty confusing because it said account number and then it said member ID. And I told her, give me the account number, which was wrong. So anyways.
What carrier was this, Johnny? Was this AMM?
Bolt.
They still verified it? Or was there an error when validating it?
No, it validated and everything. It was the right routing, but it was the wrong account.
Johnny, I got a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Johnny, you mentioned something that kind of wanted, that I really like. You said you ran a quote on Funeralocity. What is that?
Yeah, you don't know what Funeralocity is? So let me see here. No. Dude, so I'll put this in the chat. Let me hold on.
Can we put it on free leads?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the I'm gonna put it in all the chats. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's see here. Okay, so
another thing.
Hold on, look at my screen.
Okay,
so,
okay. Yeah.
Funeralocity right here. So boom. So right here it'll show it'll go by state. So you just click on the state. And then this is kind of the what I'll kind of talk through when I'm going in Discovery. I'm like, do you know how much burials nowadays are? Okay, I'm actually looking at Funeralocity, Pennsylvania. The average tradition, you wanted to do the traditional burial route, right? Okay, great. So yeah, average is 8,800. If you want to go more the affordable route, we can do 5,200.
Dude, that seems really low. Sorry to interrupt, but that seems really low.
I agree. But I just go based
on Pennsylvania.
It looks like maybe if it's a backyard burial.
I don't know. I don't know how much burials cost, to be honest. Like, I just look at this and I just trust this, but that's too low.
I mean, you've been doing this long enough to know when people like, yeah, I planned a funeral. Okay, do you remember how much they charge for it? People are typically saying like 12 to 15K, sometimes 20K. So I don't know why. I don't know where Funeralocity is getting these numbers from, but that seems like low. Do they have it? Hold on. Do they have it an option? Is there something there that compensates for inflation?
It's the average.
Because, I mean, we need to pitch for inflation too, y'all, not just today's prices.
Exactly. So that's what I'll also say. Like, right now, you could get away with a $8,000 on average, right? 8 to 10,000. But you're pretty healthy, right? I mean, that's what you were saying, and I'll go back to what they were saying earlier. I'm like, you told me you're pretty healthy. So I don't like both of us don't think that anything's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, right? Right. Okay. So transparently, if I were you, I would recommend, and this is the advisor role. So I'm going to go advisor a little bit here. I would recommend anywhere between 10 to 15,000 would cover everything in the next like 10 years. and you're going to be properly insured to make sure that's taken care of. But if you just want the basic burial, if something happened today, that'd be 8 to 10,000, something like that. We can go ahead and get you that plan. So that's what I'll do. Or I'm like, hey, if you want to actually cover everything, you think you're going to probably live another 20, 30 years, I'd recommend getting like a $20,000 to $30,000 plan. And that's where like the premiums just naturally like increase. Like that's just what happens right now. Our average premium, I think, as a team is like 100 or 115.
That's so good for digital outbound Facebook.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Like,
but
that's
I think it's like our at 3 of our people right now, 3 of the agents right now on the team, their average case size is over 2,000. I think Josh's average case size is like 2,300 or something. And it's all with Baltimore and Amam, dude. So Itzel's average case size is like 150, 160. And then Emmanuel's is high too. So, yeah. But, okay, what was your other question, Emmanuel?
Now, with that recent debacle I gave you, I was like,
happens,
what's it called?
Chargebacks only affect you if you don't continue writing business, number one. And number two, if you're not closing really well. Like, that's why I use this very vulgar, like, not vulgar, but I've used this very, like, intense buying language. Not vulgar. Buying language, like, the premium's going to draft on this date. Like, if they're giving a fuss about that, I'll try to objection handle a little bit. But if they're not with it, they're not with it. And I'm going to attack that there or not. Like, I'm just going to kind of, I'd rather attack that there and lose the sale than submit it, feel good about it, and then get an email that they charged back. Like, I'd rather just get that up front. But you're only going to have this type of abundance mindset if you're closing consistently, number one, and then number two is you're constantly having the people to be able to close.
Yeah.
After that happened, when I went home, then I reviewed that same call. Yeah, I cried too on the way home from work.
Last night?
You actually cried?
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. I just went along with Johnny's joke. What's it called? That's funny. It cried. I just reviewed the call and then I realized my mistakes. I was like, well,
he had a lot of red flags, dude. A lot.
Yeah, like since I was new at like really, I mean, I'm still new, but like I didn't catch him. Like after just reviewing it, I was like, dude, why didn't I just pay attention to that?
Yep.
I should have just clicked on this guy and moved on. But
what happened? Like, what were the red flags? I want to hear in your words.